Welcome. You're listening to Upstart. I'm Ahmed Yussuf.
And I'm Lisa Berg. Every Friday we broadcast live from La Trobe University in Bandura. Each week we tackle current affairs, news, politics, sports.
And this week, Naim Kurt looks at the ANZAC Day commemoration.
And Alana Mazurk gives us an update on what's happening with gambling addiction apps.
But first, we have the news headlines from the week with Marilyn Dahlman.
Thanks, guys. The Manus Island Detection Centre in Papua New Guinea will be shut. The PNG Prime Minister Peter O'Neill says it will be closed following the ruling form of the country's Supreme Court. This court ruled on Tuesday that Australia's detention of asylum seekers on Manus Island is illegal. Prime Minister O'Neill says his government will immediately ask Australia to make alternative arrangements for the asylum seekers. About 850 men remain on the island detention centre, and PNG has failed to resettle anyone. Half of them are refugees. Australian government says that the remaining men will not be brought to Australia. US President Barack Obama is touring around Europe. The world needs a strong, democratic and united Europe, he said on Monday. He says he's guarding against rising intolerance within the EU and across the globe. He joined German Chancellor Angela Merkel to open the world's most important trade fair for industrial technology in Hanover, where the United States is a partner country. Obama is enjoying his stay in Germany so much that he committed to return to Germany for the Oktoberfest.
My only regret is that I have never been to Germany for Oktoberfest. So I will have to come back, and I suspect it's more fun when you're not president. So my timing will be good.
President Obama visited London as well to wish the Queen a happy 90th birthday. While Obama is looking forward to the Oktoberfest after his presidency, Donald Trump is increasing his lead in the United States nomination race. Last Tuesday, he swept the primary election in 5 more states in the Northeast. The sweep gives Trump important momentum in his push for the presidential nomination. He scores wins in Pennsylvania, Maryland, Connecticut, Delaware, and Rhode Island. Trump claimed at least 105 of the 118 delegates up for the grabs on Tuesday. He is considering himself as the presumptive nominee, but also Hillary Clinton looks to dominate the East Coast primaries for the Democratic Party. So both Trump and Clinton have good chances to be the presidential nominees by the end of the primaries on 7th of June. The Australian government this week committed to spending $50 billion on a fleet of 12 new submarines contracted to French company DCNS and to be built in early next decade in South Australia. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull said in Adelaide on Tuesday morning that the program would create 2,800 direct jobs to help Australia transition to a 21st century economy. He said that the local bill would ensure the technology and skilled and the manufacturing and would guarantee the jobs of children and grandchildren for decades to come. The first fleet will hit the water in the early 2030s. And a female Australian aid worker has been kidnapped in Afghanistan. A group of armed men in military uniforms reportedly abducted the woman from the office of a non-profit organization in the eastern city of Jalalabad yesterday, according to local media sources. The Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade is trying to confirm reports about the kidnapping, which is yet to be claimed by any group. And that's it for the news headlines this week, guys.
Thanks for the headlines, Marilena.
Thank
You're
you.
listening to Upstart Live. You can listen to us at upstart.net.au.
And it's one of Australia's most important national commemorative occasions. On Monday this week, Australia came together for the annual ANZAC Day commemorations to remember all those who fought and were lost in Australia's major conflicts.
The day marks the date of the first major military action fought by Australia and New Zealand forces during the First World War. This year, the day took on special significance for veterans from the Vietnam conflict, as they were given the right to lead ANZAC Day marches across the country in lieu of the 50th anniversary of the Battle of Long Tan.
Political reporter Naim Kurt attended the Glenroy Dawn service and spoke to the head of Victoria's branch of the Vietnam Veteran Association on what they meant to him and many other Vietnam veterans across the country.
Mum, Dad and Denny saw the passing out parade at Pucker Hill with a long march from cadets. 6 battalions the next to tour. It was me who drew the card. We did Canara, Shoalwater before we left.
Australian rock band Red Gum's single, I Was Only 19, tells the story of a young man drafted into the Australian Army and sent into the harrows of the Vietnam War. For many Vietnam veterans, it has become the unofficial anthem of those who served and fought in the Vietnam conflict.
SLR and Greens, God help me. I was only 19.
ANZAC Day 2016 took on special significance this year for Vietnam veterans, as it marks the 50th anniversary of the 1966 Battle of Long Tan, one of the most significant battles Australian forces fought in during their decade-long involvement in the Vietnam conflict.
They shall grow not old, as we to the left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
As part of the commemorations, Vietnam veterans around the country were invited to lead the traditional ANZAC march and were given special mention at commemoration services.
My name is Bob Elworthy. I'm the Victorian branch state president. I've been for the last 10 years.
Major Robert Elworthy is Victorian State President of the Vietnam Veterans Association. He served in Vietnam and was appointed as a member of the Order of Australia for his service to veterans. This year he had the pleasure of leading the ANZAC Day March.
I had the extraordinary honour of being the person chosen to actually lead the ANZAC Day March.
Was it an emotional day, leading the march on Monday?
Oh, absolutely. Highly emotional. My family and extended family all came to town and walked along the road beside me. So, yeah, it was personally for me a very, very proud and humbling day. And then to be able to sit at the shrine and watch all of the Vietnam Veterans March past, I've never done before, was indeed a great thrill.
It's been a difficult homecoming for Vietnam veterans, with many feeling they weren't properly acknowledged for their service during the war. Upon Australia's withdrawal from the conflict in 1972, many Vietnam vets reported being labelled as baby killers, rapists and murderers from those in Australia who opposed the war. It left many with a bitter taste in their mouth and a feeling they had been rejected by society and ignored by the government. It wasn't until 1988 when Vietnam veterans finally got to experience their welcome home parade, 15 years after the conflict had officially ended.
Some of the major units that came back did get marched through their homes and things like that, but a great number of Vietnam veterans did experience that and came home either by ship or by aircraft and were fundamentally just sent on their way, especially like the National Service who was discharged almost immediately on returning to Australia. And so they had no time to decompress from their service in Vietnam and fundamentally there was no acceptance of them in the community at large at the time.
So I know with some Vietnam veterans come back from the war, they had trouble integrating into society.
Look, it's pretty true. I mean, if you think of a national serviceman, for instance, who's caught for 2 years, or even a regular soldier, suddenly they leave their group to head off to discos and dances and footy and whatever else they're doing. They don't spend a year in a war zone. They come back home, they get discharged, and they go back to that same group. And most of the things that same group in Australia are doing now seem so irrelevant to soldiers, because here's a young man who maybe a couple of weeks ago someone was trying to kill him. So, you came back with a whole different attitude, and that's why a lot of them gravitated away from the groups, because when they came home there was no acceptance of the Vietnam War at large, and people didn't want to talk about it. The government had basically shunned the veterans, and there were all sorts of attitudes within the community about what we did over there, which was completely false.
The ANZAC Day March is organised by the ANZAC Day Coordination Committee, and it was Mr. Ellsworthy who wrote to the RSL several years ago to suggest that Vietnam veterans lead this year's ANZAC March. He says they brought together many vets for the first time and helped to recognise them for their service.
Well, I think, as I mentioned, it's the 5th anniversary of the Battle of Long, which is a significant anniversary of Vietnam veterans. But I think for a lot of veterans, it was finally their recognition in their hometown that a lot of them have been searching for, a vindication of their tradition in owning Australian military history. So therefore we had a lot of veterans come to Melbourne who never marched before, marched for the first time.
Due to the Vietnam experience, servicemen and women of today are regarded highly because the country now makes a distinction between government policy and the soldiers themselves. This hasn't solved the feeling of isolation, however, amongst our most recent veterans, with reports before ANZAC Day suggesting many of our most recent veterans from conflicts in the Middle East and East Timor stating that they feel like local RSLs are not the places for them. Mr. Elworthy says the Vietnam Veterans Association is always open.
Our doors are always open to younger veterans, and if they need assistance with pension or welfare services, we're very happy to provide that. We don't attend when they march, and we're very supportive in any way we can of the younger veterans.
Australian society has come a long way in the way we deal with our veterans. Hopefully Monday commemoration goes another way to making Vietnam veterans feel more a part of the ANZAC legend.
The ANZAC legends didn't mention Martin, blood and tears, and the stories that my father told me never seemed quite real. I caught some pieces in my back that I didn't even feel. God help me. I was only 19. And can you tell me, doctor, why I still can't get to sleep?
That was Kurt and I's story on the ANZAC Day celebrations. And we have Kurt in studio with us. Hi, Kurt.
Hello.
How are you?
Feeling good, thank you.
Good.
Yeah, because you talked about kind of, I guess, what the ANZACs represent and some of the things that people have said about them. And I guess, like, because a lot of, we look back in just, like, past year and a bit, the Scott McIntyre situation, everything like that. And he felt, I think, that the ANZACs are overly mythologized. What do you take, what do you, I guess, take from that?
Yeah, so probably Lisa, you're not familiar as a Canadian,
Not as familiar, no.
The ANZAC campaign was the first campaign we fought in the First World War. It was a disaster. It was an invasion led to another country, and really I think it was Keith Murdoch, so Rupert Murdoch's father, who was actually over there as a war reporter. He reported on how terrible the campaign was going. That's what forced the Prime Minister to withdraw the troops afterwards. So most Australians didn't really know at the time how bad it was, and it really has given the struggles the soldiers went through and the courage they showed has really given birth to the Australian legend of what it means to be Australian, sort of about mateship and courage and adversity through difficulty. And depending on who you speak to in academia or scholars, they point to it as one of the founding events in forming the Australian national identity. But we do have a problem perhaps sometimes with over-glorifying it, and I think now sort of 101 years since the campaign finished, the last ANZAC veteran died 10 years ago, the last World War I veteran died 6 years ago. We've really lost that living connection with ANZAC Day, and
also I think there was something that the last living ANZAC said before he died.
Yeah, so the Alec Campbell last ANZAC really said, "For God's sake, don't glorify Gallipoli. It was a terrible fiasco, a total failure and best forgotten." That was one of the last things he said before he passed on. I think it's important to remember that as Australians, that we don't over-glorify, we don't sort of beat our chests about it and make it into something that it was. Because at the end of the day, we are a country that really followed a foreign country into a war, and we lost a whole lot of people, and a whole generation of people were lost. That's really the story that...
Right, because even the concept of World War I was tons of countries were like, we need a war, let's have a great war, and the mythologizing of war before then led to World War I, and it's the kind of thing, what were they actually fighting for?
Yeah, it was a huge nationalism that built up that war, and really it had nothing to do with Australia. There was no real warfare in the Australian area, the Pacific area. So we really went into Europe there and lost a whole lot of people fighting in a war that wasn't ours. And it's something that we've continued to do, I think, in recent conflicts, as Vietnam, we talk about Iraq, Afghanistan. We continue to follow foreign countries into wars and keep on losing young people, and I think it's something to remember.
Kurt, you're Turkish, right? Your family's Turkish?
Yes, correct. My father's side.
Is there any sort of conflict with the Battle of Gallipoli around
No,
that day? Or?
My father's side are from Bulgaria, so at the time, Bulgaria wasn't a part of the Turkish Empire or Ottoman Empire, so really I had no relatives there. But on my mother's side, we had people who fought in the First World War, I don't think in Gallipoli, but in the Middle East and in France. And especially growing up, it was a bit of a conflicting thing because you get the whole ANZAC story about the heroism of the ANZACs, and you'd hear it from the Turkish side as well, that it was really the invasion of their country, but it also has brought a great friendship between Turks and Australians in that it was really the forming of the Australian identity of a nation, and after the Gallipoli campaign, it was the formation of the Turkish Republic, so both countries can lay claim to having a birth of both their nations at that event, so I think there's symbiotic friendship there between us both.
Great. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Kurt.
Thanks for coming on the show, Kurt. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You're listening to Upstart Live. You can hear us on upstart.net.au. I'm Lisa Berg with Ahmed Yussuf.
Yeah, and I guess another thing that Australia is known for, opposed from mateship, is, I guess, the sporting culture of the nation. We all love our sport, but what we also love is our gambling.
Yeah, figures released by the Victorian Responsible Gambling Foundation show punters are spending more than $20 billion annually.
Sports fans are seeing gambling as something that adds to the experience, meaning and what they're spending their time on.
Yeah, and many of these fans are young men who use mobile apps to bet. Alana Mazurk looks into this growing trend.
Sports betting in Australia is worth $3 billion annually, and the market is growing by 20% a year. Online sports betting is not a huge part of the overall betting market. One credible study in 2014 found the proportion of gamblers wagering on sports other than horse racing was only a bit above 5%, way behind other forms such as racing and the pokies. But where other forms of gambling are stable, online sports betting is growing fast, and the amount of money spent on it is growing even faster. I recently spoke to Emily Grace Dean, a PhD student at Deakin University.
It's called the third person effect, so people might be willing to think that it influences other people, but they're very tentative, I guess, to acknowledge that it would influence their own behaviours. But one of the things that we've kind of found, which I think is a good example of how it can influence behaviours, is the promotions, so the cashback offers and the bonus bets and things like that. Those particular promotions, young men were more likely to sort of go, yeah, no, I think they're a little bit more influential, rather than, the sort of marketing. But again, it's that perspective from, yes, it influences other people, but it doesn't influence me.
I always said I would never get an online betting account because I just assumed it would be too tempting to put on a small bet, when watching the footy or watching any sort of sport, and that it would sort of snowball from there.
That was James Douglas, a 27-year-old lawyer. He never thought he would ever get an online betting account.
I think sometimes I can be more interested in watching a game if I do have money on it, but for me that's been a pretty rare thing. I've barely used my online betting account, so normally I'm watching sport, enjoying it without having a bet on it.
Two factors have been shown by gambling researchers to be central to the problem gambling. First, the faster you can bet, that is less time between placing a bet and getting a result. And the second factor is ease of access. And online betting with its mobile apps allows people to bet anytime, any place.
Some of my participants spoke about how easy it was to actually put money into your account, but it was incredibly difficult to actually extract that money and get it out and use it.
According to Victorian Responsible Gambling Foundation figures, in 2013 to 2014, total gambling losses were more than $21 billion.
I guess a shift in the culture around sport, and I think the reason why we're seeing that shift is because these bookmakers have aligned themselves so closely with sporting teams through sponsorship arrangements and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'd definitely say that in the last couple of years, wouldn't put an exact number on it, but it seems like there's a lot more gambling ads now that it's just it saturates every live sporting event, much more so than, say, 2 or 3 years ago.
I went to the pub recently to find out what local punters thought of online betting. Out of the 7 guys I spoke to, surprisingly, only 3 of them had online accounts. However, the other 4 did admit that they had addictive personalities, and so they just didn't want to take the risk. Of one of the men I spoke to, I asked him which betting app he used.
TV, Sportsbet, Ladbroke, William Hill, Crown Bet.
Just a few more than your average.
Take most of the money out, but I would leave something in there. Why not? I've just won money.
He was pretty adamant that he was never going to get a gambling addiction and that this was just really all for fun.
I don't know, if I see something I like, catches me eye, I'll just throw some money on it.
You've got all these promotions sort of showing that it's, or suggesting that it's pretty easy to win, there's some good benefits associated with it. I mean, you don't necessarily know much about the harms. I think it's very easy to get in a position of, I'll just download my app, and away you go.
Senator Nick Xenophon has proposed a legislation that would ban gambling ads during G-rated television shows and during the coverage of sporting events. This would severely limit the types of bets that could be offered, including bets made after a sporting event has started, and so-called micro-bets on contingencies that may not happen during the sporting event. For example, the second ball bowled in the first over a cricket match will be in a ball.
I can only sort of speak from my area, so that in the way that they market their products, they use similar tactics as the tobacco industry, and we have a number of different PhD students who are also looking at the other tactics surrounding corporate social responsibility issues, things like that. And again, it's just directly from what we've seen with tobacco industries.
I contacted all the major betting agencies in Australia. They declined to comment. If you or someone you know are struggling with gambling, there is help out there. There's a nationwide service called Gamblers Help, 1-800-858-858.
That was Alana Mazurk's story on online addiction, gambling apps in Australia.
Yeah, it's a growing issue because almost everything, every sporting event, television or whatever it might be, there's a mention of betting, and its prevalence is unreal.
Yeah, it's dangerous to have on your phone too if you're always playing with apps on your phone. It's just because you're losing money.
Game.
Yeah,
it just becomes a game.
Mm-hmm. Like I'm addicted to Candy Crush, but I don't lose money to it. So.
Unless you pay for it.
Yeah. So we have Magnify Melbourne is this is a school project started from La Trobe journalism students and has grown to be internationally recognized. One of the students involved in the project was Jeff Dixon Fox, and he's on the show today with us. But before we have a chat with him, we're going to play his video that saw him win the LA WebFest and his team. It won the most outstanding student series.
I was probably 14, 15. I was really practicing, really trying to get sponsored, really trying to get my name out there. I was riding every single day probably, and from 10 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night, learning tricks all the time. But once you get sponsored, you feel the need to ride extremely hard. But I put a lot of time. I probably ride about 5 hours every day on the weekend, maybe even longer. Depends what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm Juzzy Carter. I've been riding scooters for about 6 years now, and I ride for Medgear Pro Scooters and Elephant Apparel and Scooter Hut. I started skateboarding just because it was the first cool thing I'd really seen. I don't know, people rode bikes and skateboards just seemed like a cool thing to do when I was really young, and I wanted to associate myself with that kind of thing. And I don't know, when I saw tricks and kick flips and stuff, I just thought it was the coolest thing ever, and I was really inspired, Rodney Mullen and stuff. So I don't know, just watching those kind of guys do something really different, it's something I'd never seen before, and it just compelled me to do something different like them. When I was skateboarding, I didn't have many friends. I did, but they all started dropping off when scootering became in fashion. So it was really hard for me to keep skating while all my friends were scooter riding, and I tried my best to keep going, but I just started to really, see that scootering was really cool. When I first landed tail whip, just mucking around, and I just thought, oh, you can actually do tricks on this little toy. It was this really weird feeling. Met all my friends through riding scooters. I've had heaps of friends during school and through primary school and stuff, but I think the fact that you can meet people at the skate park who are just the same as you, who have done it for the same reasons and who have the same feeling, is like, it's a bigger connection because, you have this unspoken connection with them because you feel the same way about riding scooters. And I've met friends all over the world, all over Australia, and just some of the best people. It's a great way to meet people, and it's the people I've met have really changed my life and changed the way I think about things and think about scooters. People now with social media are really interested in content now, so they love seeing stuff just constant. With videos, it takes 6 months to a year to film that kind of stuff, and people aren't exactly willing to wait that long. And I'm just obsessed. It's obsessed with Instagram because it's just amazing to just film and have something to upload every day. And I don't know, I really love filming and really love taking photos and really love, showing people what I'm all about and showing people what I've been doing. So it's great to, kind of allow my presence in the scene to grow and allow my sponsors' presence in the scene to grow just through, promoting and having fun and showing what my life's about. One of the biggest challenges is keeping up with other riders. There's so many up-and-coming riders, doing incredible tricks, and you being a professional rider, you feel the need to, maintain a certain standard for yourself. And for me to do tricks that are like next level, I have to keep on practicing and keep on progressing. So that's probably one of the biggest challenges, but mainly I just do what I like and keep progressing at a natural rate, and it seems to be fine. But also another challenge is competitions. I'm not that big a competition rider. I've really enjoyed it that much, but being a sponsored rider, you're expected to do that kind of thing. And yeah, it can be a kind of struggle because I don't like them that much, and the pressure can really be on, and I don't just perform so well in competition. But it's still fun, and it's still all part of it, so I still really enjoy it. Ad Gear especially is really helpful to me. They're just so supportive. They've got your back the whole time. Scooter Hut especially, they're really focused in promoting you as a rider instead of just as someone as part of a team. So, I've got some stickers and posters they're making of me. And one of the workers from Scooter Hut started Elephant Apparel, and he's just a really cool friend who made some awesome t-shirts, and I love wearing his stuff. And yeah, I love working with all of them. They're just all really supportive sponsors, and I don't think I'd be where I am today without with them. Competitions and travelling interstates for competitions, they're always really fun to see all your friends. Of course, there's heaps of pressure to do the competition, and I really felt entitled. Entitled this year to try my best because in previous years I'd been unsuccessful to go to World Championships, and because I was doing school in previous years I wasn't able to put my all into it. This year I was doing better in the ANZAC comps in Melbourne, and I thought, oh yeah, I've given my all, but I wasn't that lucky. I didn't ride as well as I wanted to. I landed on my trick, but yeah, I think there's more to it than that. And I think next year I'll try harder, and I'm hopeful to make it to World Championships. But it's not about competitions, the experience of Australian titles is more about seeing my friends and having fun and meeting up and filming and having a good time. So I was really happy to do that. My dreams already technically come true. I never in my last dreams thought I'd be professional riding, I didn't think that would ever happen. It's incredible to have even thought that I'd be where I am now. But for what I'd like to do is what I'd like to travel overseas. I'd love to go in Europe and America and England and just ride all the crazy spots that I've seen in videos when I was a kid. And I just love to do that. Many of my friends have already done it already, but I think my time will come soon, and I hope I can travel overseas.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Yourself?
Good, thank you. So we were just talking about your project that went to LA WebFest. It started out an online journalism class.
That's it.
Sorry, just wanting to tell us where the idea came from and everything.
Yeah, it was started as a university assignment. It was just like any other. Been at uni for 3 years and just approached it as any other regular assessment. And in a group of 4, we started out filming, and then I went to the editing studio to put it all together and submitted it, got a mark, and then just left it at that. It was published on the Magnify Melbourne website, and then out of the blue, it was nominated for the LA WebFest and won an award. So it was really a shock.
I guess tell me about like how it felt even being nominated? When was it just like, wow, like this is, and also, how many episodes were entered into the LA WebFest?
So it was, there was about, there was a lot of entries in the student, this was specifically a student category. So the most outstanding series in the student category, there was about 5 to 10 nominations from memory. And yeah, it was out of the blue. The person we submitted our assignment to, our university lecturer, was the one who informed us of the nomination. So it was definitely, not expecting to hear that news.
Cool. And how did you meet Juzzy, the subject of the video?
So he's in the Frankton area, and one of the people I was working with in the group for had a friend who knew Juzzy, and it's just they're all in the pro scootering scene, and they thought it would be a good idea to do a story on him, and he's done lots of good work himself. So yeah, it was really good to team up with Juzzy.
I guess, are there, like, after winning this WebFest, are there any other projects you're thinking about working on? Is this the kind of thing that you want to go and do professionally?
I've had a passion for creating film and editing. I probably was really shocked. I expect this to be a one-off, maybe like a music band, sort of a one-hit wonder. I'll keep trying, but I definitely don't have high expectations of being able to achieve that standard of quality for the rest of my career, but we'll see.
No, and so now you're going to the projects in Montreal WebFest as a whole classes projects, or just the original videos?
So the video I helped produce was one of 3 from the Magnify Melbourne series that was shown at the festival. But the entire Magnify Melbourne series was awarded. So there's lots of videos from over the years from students. So groups of 4 or 5 per video. So you're really looking at hundreds of students who've all contributed and all can take ownership of this award.
Great. Do you have any more questions?
Thanks for actually no. Jeff, you were in my class. I was actually in the same class as you last semester. In Steiner's online journalism production class, and I was there when you were pitching the story. So it's like really interesting to see how the initial pitch has turned into this, I guess, this bigger WebFest award-winning series.
Exactly, and that's very interesting. I was also hearing other pitches from other classmates and going, gee, I think I like that idea better. I think they've got a better story going than us. But it was very interesting that we're able to be one of the ones selected and shown at the festival.
Yeah, it's awesome, and really happy for you. And thanks for giving us some time, and good luck for the future.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks a lot.
That was Jeff Dickinson Fox. You are listening to Upstart Live. You can hear us on upstart.net.au. You can also find us on Twitter.
Upstart Magazine.
Yes.
And it is 33 past 1, and you're obviously listening to Upstart Live. I'm Ahmed Yussuf.
I'm Lisa Berg. So now we have a story about the A-League Grand Final. It's only days away.
Yeah, I spoke to former A-League goalkeeper Clint Bolton on, I guess, the psychology of preparing for what is the competition's biggest game of the season.
As well as you looked at what players might be thinking and feeling ahead of the game.
And I spoke to a few fans to see, I guess, where they are and their expectations.
So here's your story.
Well, whoever loses then has the record for most grand final loss. So
that was Fox Sports presenter Adam Peacock. Losing 2 grand finals are hard, but 3 brings a whole new meaning. With the A-League Grand Final now less than a week away, the pressure not to be the first club in the A-League to lose 3 grand finals start to loom large over Adelaide United and Western Sydney Wanderers. The game is going to play at Adelaide Oval, in front of what might be a full house with 30,000 tickets bought already.
I booked my tickets the minute they went on sale. I was sitting in the passenger seat of a car on my phone trying to get through, and so I'll absolutely be there.
That's Justin. He's been supporting Adelaide since the club formed. He was there eagerly watching as his side lost 2 A-League Grand Finals and Asian Champions League final. He believes Sunday's game is make or break.
Probably the biggest game the club's ever faced, and I include the Asian Champions League final in that. It's just one we just have to win it. The club wants the respect of the city. which is a tough city to break into, given how much it's a non-AFL stronghold. We can't be a 3-time loser or a 4-time loser and expect fans to, the wider community to respect the team if we can't deliver.
The pressure's on Adelaide to make up for the past, but how important is home field advantage in this grand final?
Well, our fans play a massive role in the club's success, and I have heard players like Bolton, for example, talking about how he always hated going to Adelaide.
Well, that was specifically Hindmarsh Stadium.
Clint Bolton's played a number of times at Hindmarsh. It's not the most pleasant atmospheres he's played in his career.
It's a really intense atmosphere. The crowd feels like it's right on top of you, and at times, it's just a rabid bunch that constantly, especially as a goalkeeper, obviously when you're sort of the close onto the crowd. And I've had plenty of things, thrown to me, but when you're losing, when you're behind, as the away team at Hindmarsh, it was just, it almost became suffocating, that place, and it was always difficult to actually get back in the game. But obviously at Adelaide Oval.
While Hindmarsh is intimidating to play at, will move to Adelaide Oval change the face of the game? Does the venue matter?
We saw last year with last year's grand final how a football purpose stadium, how intense the atmosphere was, how it's football. Obviously you lose something by going to these bigger stadiums.
But what's it like to prepare for a grand final? What do people do in lead up to the season-defining game?
The best advice I got was from Frank Farina when back in 1997, Brisbane Strikers, and he just said to us, just enjoy the week, soak it up. There's plenty of appearances. There's plenty of fans at training sessions. So just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. And we did that, and there was just this real release of pressure.
Western Sydney just coming off like one of the greatest comebacks in potentially A-League history.
It is the greatest comeback. Oh, it's immense, confidence-wise. I think as soon as that whistle goes, you have a period where, in that type of game, you have a period when you're the winning team that is just immense relief, satisfaction, excitement, all in one. But it dissipates pretty quickly because you realise what's at stake next weekend. Your focus shifts to next weekend pretty quickly, and then you reflect on the game you just had, and you realise there's a lot of issues to fix.
What are the issues that need fixing? Adam Peacock thinks if they're not resolved soon, the Wanderers won't be lifting any silverware.
If they make those mistakes against Adelaide, they're not scoring 4 goals against Adelaide and win the game in the last hour. Sure, it's a massive boost to have the greatest comeback in A-League history and has that as the springboard to go into grand final, but they've got a few things to sort out and they can't afford to make the same mistakes.
But what do Wanderers fans think?
Who do we sing for? We sing for Wanderers. Who do we sing for? We sing for Wanderers. Whoa!
That's Pablo. He tells me why he believes the championship is Western Sydney bound.
Well, we've done it before. Like, we had to travel to Riyadh in the second leg to secure the title. Now, if you can do it there in front of 62,000 Al Hilal fans, and believe me, I was there. I was one of the 11 fans in the group that went there, and that was just amazing. If we can do it there, we can do it in Adelaide.
While Western Sydney's comeback last week was important and potentially history-making, Adelaide have been on a run of their own.
Geez, what Adelaide's done, you think about it, 27 rounds, 8 rounds in, that's almost a third of the way through the season, bottom of the table, to then go on and be top of the table is, I don't think it's been done in Australian sport.
But how does it feel to be there, on the pitch at the final whistle, winning a grand final? Clint talks me through their emotions.
Oh, for different stages of your career. I was fortunate to win 4, and my last one was a more difficult period for myself personally. This is Sydney FC, 5th season, and I was leaving the club. I knew that before the grand final, so I put myself under a huge amount of pressure. personally. And when that final whistle went in that one, after the penalty shootout, it was just, I was exhausted, absolutely just mentally drained. It was the only time I've actually wept or shed a tear in the moment of a grand final, purely because I was spent. And it was more, I don't know, because you're more a senior player, one of the bigger players at that stage, you know, personally I felt the pressure a lot more to actually perform on the big occasion. So just that whole thing, you know, it just, when the moment comes, it's final, it's weight off your shoulders, but you're just exhausted.
96.
That was Ahmed Yussuf's story on A-League final.
Yeah, that was really interesting, talking about the psychology of an A Grand Final, how he felt going places like Adelaide, specifically Hindmarsh, the differences there are when you play at like a compact stadium, boutique stadium like Hindmarsh, compared to when you play at like a bigger stadium like Adelaide Oval, where the A-League Grand Final is going to be played.
Cool.
But,
so now it's time for our sports wrap. Keeping up with the sports theme, we have Kyle and Tobie in the studio with us. Hi, guys.
It's good to be here, guys. How are we? We've got the biggest weekend of the A-League season ahead of us. And I don't know about you, Kyle, but I'm quite excited for Sunday's grand final. To help us preview the game, we've got another special guest this week. Our guest is Foxport's own Tara Russian. Welcome to the show, Tara. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm quite good, thank you. So last week, the Wanderers and Raw semi-final was quite an extraordinary spectacle. Can the grand final live up to all those twists and turns?
Ooh, that's a really big question, actually. Look, I think it definitely can. I can't, and I know that we've seen previously when those two teams have met this season that there haven't exactly been lots of goals. We've been 187 minutes since we've seen a goal score between these two in the regular season. So, look, we're hoping for goals, but I just think there's so much on the line. Adelaide Oval, 50,000 people. Why the hell not?
Hi Tara, it's Ahmed here. You've sat on the couch alongside someone like John Cosmian, who's been in and around the club at Adelaide United for a better part of a decade. I guess, what do you have you gotten anything about like the special sauce? What's been going on at Adelaide this season to see them jump from bottom of the table, cellar dwellers, to top of the table Premier Plates holders?
It's really interesting because people are like, well, what's the secret, right? But I think Guillermo Amor, I think he was one game away from probably being one of the coaches that, I don't say one of the coaches, but being a coach that job was really in limbo. That was rhetoric surrounding the run that Adelaide United first had in, first 7 games of the season. What was the turning point? What was the key moment? And it did seem like collectively things started clicking. Players started hitting some really good form, including that of Juzzy. Players started buying in, and it all started to come together. So, it's a really good question. I haven't actually spoken to John Cosmina and asked him, but that's one thing that keeps coming up in a lot of interviews when you're looking at the lead up to this grand final. Like, what's the secret? What did he do? What's the secret? What does he do? But one thing that you can definitely take away from listening to Guillermo Amor is the fact that he's a really, really good, humble, genuine person, and you feel like that's rubbed off on the players. They genuinely care about each other, and they care about the club, and they care about putting together good results. And I know care's not enough to win you the title, but you can see that there's a real belief and a real confidence in the team. And I think he's part and parcel with instilling that in the side.
Hello, it's Kyle here. The two sides, how are you? The two sides' strong points seem to be their midfields. Do you think this will be where the game is won and lost?
Well, midfield, but also defensively, they're the two best sides that have the best defence in the competition this season. Adelaide with the best, as well as the Wanderers with second. Who's going to be really pivotal, I guess, in terms of Adelaide, to say even Caruska, who really kind of come in and can dictate tempo of the game. They can slow it down and then put it up. And then on the flip side as well, gosh, you've got the players in the midfield of the Western Sydney Wanderers. So it's pretty amazing. Someone like, Andre floating around, Mitch Nichols, who looks like, I didn't know whether he was going to be right for this game. I guess there's still a little bit of a question mark, but it's going to be such a fascinating battle to see in terms of the midfield. Whose game kind of gets snuffed out, if that can possibly happen in this one.
I guess, Tara, a lot of people are saying that the reason these two clubs are in the grand final is, one, because they've got a collective spirit, and two, because they've got probably the two best coaches in the league. What do you think?
Pretty good call. Pretty good call. I mean, but in terms of they've got the best collective spirit, I think spirit's one word, but as well it's got to do with, I think, mental strength, physical strength. The mentality, the physicality are incredibly important. Watching the Wanderers play Brisbane Roar in that semi-final, even though they conceded $3 in 23 minutes, there was no way. I think for people that have watched the Wanderers in the last 4 years, I'm sure no one really said, oh, Brisbane Roar have won this. You knew that there was so much more football to play that physically Wanderers could go. Wanderers could go into extra time. They'd be pretty knackered, but they'd be able to do it. And I think with Adelaide as well, yeah, they've got the spirit, but it's not just about a spirit, but they've been collectively building upon performance, and they have been building to the grand final. So, one loss in the last 20 games is bloody impressive.
Thanks for your time, Tara. Before you go, what's your prediction for Sunday?
My prediction for Sunday is 2-0 to Adelaide United.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Hopefully it's an exciting clash. That's Tara Rushton from Fox Sports, and you're listening to The Sports Report. Kyle and I will be back after 2 for the extended Sports Report, but for now it's back to you, Ahmed and Lisa.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for the wrap, and really awesome to get Tara to come on and preview the final. It's going to be an interesting one. I think right now it's over 30,000 tickets have been sold already. It might be full house of 50,000 in Adelaide Oval.
Yeah, that's enormous. A lot of people.
Yeah, and Lisa, I don't really like dogs.
I know that, and I don't understand why. Dogs are adorable, loving creatures. They're the best animals. I'm going to say that.
I've been chased by a number of dogs in my life.
How many dogs would you say you've been chased for? Are you exaggerating a little bit?
Four
Four?
or three.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you're exaggerating a little bit.
I don't think I'm exaggerating at all. And I guess if you're on the feed right now, I think you can see a picture of Sasha Doty's dog. And that's the kind of dog that chased me. But it was a bit bigger. No, it wasn't cute. It wasn't cute. Sorry, it wasn't cute.
That adorable picture in the hammock?
No, it wasn't cute. And Sasha's going to be our roving reporter at the Dogs Lover Show. I think we have her on the line right now. Hello, Sasha.
Ash?
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Oh my god, I mean, my element here is Dog Central. I cannot explain it.
I just feel like if I was there, it'd be a very unsafe experience.
I feel like you'd have to be one in the cage, and they would just look at you.
They would just be licking your face, and
they wouldn't lick my face; they'd be biting it off.
I think your thoughts will be changed if you came here, and you've got all weekend to do so. But there are over 200 breeds here, and I just actually got to stare at a hound in the face.
Oh,
I don't know many people. That's the droopy-looking dog, the one that looks depressed all the time.
I love Bassinhounds.
I don't even know what Bassinhound is.
It's the
he will know you.
But I guess what's the mood there?
The mood is excitable. There's loads of people actually for Friday, and there's like a mixture of kids and old people, with people like me who are just dog obsessed. Look, may I admit that I found my other element, which is Lego and dogs together in one place.
What a wonderful combination.
And I guess
oh my gosh.
And I guess, Sasha, you've got a dog of your own, don't you?
I do. I have an Australian working dog called Leroy. He's a Kelpie. And unfortunately, I couldn't bring him today, so I've been checking out the Kelpies and you'll obviously be jealous when I get home later. But look, the other good thing about this is that there is an Australian working dog rescue stand here. There's also the Lost Dog Home. There's all types of rescue stands here, as well as adoption homes. It seems like it's really raising awareness of how many dogs do need homes instead of the purebred homes. So that's always nice to see.
And how long does the show go on for, Sash?
It goes till Sunday. So from Friday till Sunday, all day, 9:30 to 5, I'm pretty sure. And you can also catch some really cool dog tour shows. Now, I don't mean they dress in drag and have a sing. They basically do a long, they demonstrate, like if they're a working dog, they'll demonstrate. Otherwise, there's the nice dogging show kind of things, the Pekingese that get dressed up to the nines. It's all go, you guys.
Great. Well, thank you so much.
That's right. If I don't come back to work, you'll know where to find me.
Bye, Sash.
Bye, Sash.
See you guys. Bye.
Dogs. I don't know about you. I just do not like dogs.
I can understand that, but I'm each to their own. That's fine.
And it's 50 past 1, 10 to 2. Listening to Upstart Live. Remember, you can find us on social media at Upstart Magazine. And talking about Upstart Magazine, we've got the editor, Rudy Edsel, in studio. Talk about all the news that's happening on Upstart right now.
Hi, Ahmed.
Hi.
Hi, Lisa. How are you?
Good, how are you?
That's good. The first piece I wanted to talk about actually ties in with what Gert was talking about earlier, the ANZAC Day. I suppose we call them commemorations rather than celebrations. Now, one of our staff writers, Deniz Uzgin, I hope I've pronounced that right. Turkish is a tough one for me to wrap my tongue around, but he's written an article about the way the Turkish community in Australia views ANZAC Day. Obviously, it's a massive part of history for them as well. It just sort of viewed a little differently to how we look at it in Australia. It's a similar sort of national identity.
Defining moment, I guess?
Yeah, defining moment for that national identity for them as well, but in a different way to
How so?
us. That is a good question. I've just lost where I wrote that down because my handwriting is completely illegible.
You still write on pen and paper. You're living behind the times, mate. You're living behind the times. But I guess what other stories have been popping up. I think the impact of media ownership is one that I was looking at before.
Yeah, right. So Tracy Stewart wrote a very thought-provoking article on that. Basically, the Senator Mitch Fifield, he's the communications minister. He's proposed all these reforms to the media ownership law in Australia. They want to abolish the 75% rule, which prevents TV licenses from covering over 75% of the population. And they also, more controversially, want to abolish the two out of three rule, which stops single entities from owning a TV, radio, and newspaper license. And they can own 2 out of 3.
So they're going to abolish it. So say, for example, someone who has a monopoly on the media, like Rupert Murdoch, can own a television, radio, and print organization, all 3.
Oh yeah,
did that happen?
Unsurprisingly, that's News Corp have been pushing this for a while because it's long. This rule has long kept them out of commercial TV stations. For a long time, they've wanted to own as much of Channel 10 as they can. They are stakeholders, but they want to take a bigger role, and so they've been pushing for it. And the argument is that in the internet age and the sort of communications making the nation smaller as such, kind of these kind of laws become an anachronism in a sense. News Corp also want the anti-siphoning laws looked at as well, which those stop TV. They stop PTV from having sort of unfettered access to all live sport. Every major sporting event is offered to free to air TV channels. Is first they get first crack at it, and if they don't want it, then it goes to open tender.
Oh,
all right.
Well, thanks for coming on the show, Rudy, and giving us the lineup. There's a few things we couldn't cover. Like one that I'm really interested in is how do Netflix and chill in America.
Yeah.
So everyone, go to upstart.net.au, check that story out. Seville Kaya writes that story. Also went to school with Seville. I told you this before. And she wrote this article about how you can cheat the system,
It's just something interesting for me because Australian Netflix is terrible compared to Canadian and American.
And we talk about TV, we're talking about media, we're talking about arts. And to take us through this social media age, we're inundated with entertainment content. And, we look for one place where we can find it all.
Yeah, and that's Ben McCready, who's here with us, our entertainment reporter. How are you, Ben?
I'm good, thank you, Alicia.
How are you guys? Are you entertained?
Oh, it's unfortunate my name's Ben, I think. Everyone's
I think fortunate is the word you're looking for.
And arts and entertainment news this week. We have this week was the first episode of Game of Thrones 6th season. So for anyone who's been under a rock for a long time,
I just want to give a revelation. I've never watched an episode of Game of
Oh,
Thrones.
Unbelievable.
Never in my entire life. I've never seen a trailer. Never watched an episode. Haven't even watched 5 seconds of an episode ever. Never ever.
So you're the one living under the rock, basically.
I think there's a clutch of shows that I probably should watch, but for me to do that, it takes so much time to catch up. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I just got into Doctor Who like in 2013, so I was like, I'm messing behind the times.
Yeah. So
Another release this week, Civil War.
Ooh.
Captain America Civil War came out yesterday.
By the way,
team cap.
yes, I was just going to say that
Sporting the team cap.
Everyone watching on the stream, watch that shirt. I know who
Watch the
Ben's.
shirt.
I know who Ben's supporting.
Yeah, I'm team cap all the way.
I'm Team Iron Man, man.
Oh,
are
you
you
haven't
guys
watched
gonna
Game
do
of Thrones
that?
and you're Team Iron Man. There's something wrong with you.
What's wrong with me, huh? Come on, I'm trying to support fellow Australian. You know.
is Robert Downey Jr.
I don't think
Australian? He's not Australian. He's American.
He is. Does he not? Is he not? Like,
Yeah.
I'm honestly pretty sure.
Confused
that
is what you are.
He's American.
But anyway.
All right.
Yeah, anyways.
So those are the two big releases this week. Everyone get pumped, get excited. If you haven't watched either or both, get on it. Especially you, Ahmed. So now we're moving on to our trailer trash segment. This week we are showing one that's a few weeks old at this point. It is Rogue One, which is part of a major series. And if you don't know which series, I'll let the trailer speak for itself.
State your name for the record.
Jin Erso.
Forgery of imperial documents, possession of stolen property, aggravated assault, resisting arrest.
On your own from the age of 15. Reckless, aggressive, and undisciplined. This is a rebellion, isn't it? A rebel. A major weapons test is imminent. We need to know what it is and how to destroy it.
Trailer there.
There we go.
I was pretty shocked that already after Force Awakens there's a new Star Wars movie. Also another revelation, I hadn't watched Star Wars up until late last year.
None of them?
None of them. Then I binge watched.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's good. I haven't seen a new one yet.
I love Star Wars.
So I did this.
Have you seen all the originals?
I've seen all the originals, but I haven't seen the new ones. So.
She's trying to get me to watch the crappy ones, like the 90s versions.
They're part of the series. You have
That's what
to
I've heard.
watch
Those are the
them.
good ones.
Do you think those are the good ones?
The originals, of course.
No,
they're
they're
not
the
the
originals.
originals.
The ones in the 90s.
With Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Those aren't good.
The second trilogy.
Yeah, they're not good.
Prequel trilogy. Yeah,
They're not good.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not.
No, they're terrible.
See, that's why I didn't watch it.
They're terrible.
That's
They're
why
painful to
I
watch.
purposely skipped that. But yeah, thanks for giving us your entertainment. You know.
Anytime,
you,
girls. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course.
And in the absence of Alana Mazurk, we've drafted a man behind the scenes, our resident intern, Matthew Coburn. Hi there, Matt.
Hello, how you doing over there?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, very, very well. Thank you.
So what's happening
What
in
is
the
what?
world of what?
Well, what is the what? That is the question. So we all spend many hours listening and watching Donald Trump memes. I know I do. But if you think Donald Trump's a weirdo, you should
What
hear
about
about
GIFs?
this
What
guy.
about GIFs?
Oh, GIFs. Don't even get me started on GIFs. The Philippine president frontrunner, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, and I apologize, Rodrigo Duterte, has vowed to pardon himself for mass murder because one of his plans to be in power is to kill all the criminals off. And he also continually talks about his penis. I don't know if we're allowed to say penis, but he always talks about it.
I feel like
you've
you
said
can
twice
say
now,
penis.
so.
I've said it
but-
twice. And
but-
I'm just saying, we all thought Tony Abbott was bad, but thank God he didn't do that, because that would be an incredibly uncomfortable campaign to be a part of, I think.
Yes, it would.
Thank you for doing the whats and hows
What's
and
the what? We're very short what to what, but I think a very informative one all the same.
Absolutely.
remember, don't talk about your penis on air. That's pretty much what you shouldn't do.
Ideally.
Yeah,
We're looking forward to Lana coming back next week.
and stay with us at 2, having all the sports wrap and the highlight with Tobie and Kyle. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, and you've been listening to Upstart Live. You can find us at upstart.net.au. Big thanks to all of the
team.
Our producers, our reporters.
Big thanks, many thanks to our executive producer and everyone else. Thank you.
Kyle, we're back in again.
We are.
How are we?
Awesome. Still?
Not much has changed.
Nah, not much. Not much has changed the last 10 minutes.
We're starting the extended sports report off on I suppose a bit more of a somber note, but some good news still. 27 years on, an inquest into the 1989 Hillsborough disaster, which killed 96 Liverpool fans, has concluded. It found the South Yorkshire Police Force responsible for opening the next gate and allowing fans to flood into an already full terrace. 30,000 people took to the streets to celebrate the decision and commemorate the memory of those lost.
Very emotional, just right now. To me, I'd never thought to see it. I really didn't.
That was a short piece from an interview with a Hillsborough survivor and an emotional rendition of You'll Never Walk Alone outside the courtroom after the decision. Kyle, what are your thoughts on this decision?
My thoughts are it's taken far too long for the inquest to conclude. Having lived in England myself for a couple of years, it's just something that everyone's talked about. There's innuendo, there's everything associated with the inquest. There's been some derogatory things said about people from Liverpool, which it's probably not all completely fair, but it's just, it's good that it's come out as a cover-up from South Yorkshire Police.
Yeah, because of course at the time there's at least one certain UK newspaper that a lot of people disliked that launched probably a pretty sickening attack on those that died that day. And as you said, the South Yorkshire Police did lead a pretty sickening cover-up. They blamed the fans and they falsified documents. I think for a bit of justice to be served, even if it's 27 years on, is pretty great. And I think it's nice that the families of those lost and even the survivors have found closure.
Yeah, that newspaper you mentioned, they do not have one sale in Liverpool. Taking their paper up to newsagents in Liverpool is just a waste of time. No one buys it. So, the police come out and they've said, the fans were drunk and they've broken down the gate. I was watching a video on YouTube just before from RTE in Ireland covering the game. And they've reported what the police said, and they've reported what the Liverpool fans that spilled on the pitch said. No one listened to the Liverpool fans. Why they didn't listen to the Liverpool fans, it could go back to the Heysel disaster in 1985, which Liverpool fans were throwing rocks at the Juventus fans, and they pushed down a wall or something and it crushed and killed 39 Juve fans. So they're not completely innocent. So this sort of speculation and or reputation could have dragged on and made the the inquest a bit more difficult. So
absolutely, we'll move a bit closer to home now. We'll look to the AFL. There's a massive matchup tonight. A top-of-the-table clash between North Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs. Kyle, as a Bulldogs fan, I'm pretty excited for this one. Are you looking forward to it?
I'm not looking forward to it as such, but it will be a good game and I will watch it. More Sunday 4:40 centric with the Magpies, but tonight, whoever wins tonight, I reckon, will make the grand final. There'll be a good chance.
Big call.
It is a big call, but you know how the system works. They've got rid of the McIntyre system and got the new system with the top four. Guaranteed second chance. So I don't see either of these two teams really dropping off. But I think whoever wins tonight, it'll be a massive confidence boost for them for the rest of the season.
I think even though North Melbourne are 5-0, it's probably a pretty important match. They're playing some good football, but been conceding a lot of goals. If they can get a win over a Bulldogs team that... probably biased, it appears to be a genuine contender, then that really sets their season up, I think. 6-0, they beat Adelaide and the Bulldogs then. And you said, you think they'll go on to the grand final, the winner. If they lose, what will the consequences be for the Kangaroos?
I don't think the consequences will be that strong at all. They'll bounce back. There's many teams that have lost games like this early in the season who end up playing in the grand final. It's just a game where we're going to see where these two teams are at. So North's defence may come out of it the worst. If they do lose, they have conceded 30 more goals than the Western Bulldogs this season, just in 5 rounds, which is a lot. So if they can get that sorted and stop Bond, Stringer, Dalhouse, all those small forwards and big forwards, contenders, and everyone will stand up and just think, North Melbourne's a real deal.
The biggest talking point going into tonight for me is the Bulldogs' defence. It's been stingiest so far this season, but they've lost Johannesson, Murphy, and now Matthew Suckling as well. They brought in Fletcher Roberts, who's a bit taller. He's 196, I believe, to try and combat, because the Kangaroos have quite a potent attacking lineup. As I said, the Bulldog structure in defence has held up brilliantly. They haven't conceded much. Against a Kangaroo side that's been scoring goals for fun, do you think they can hold up again tonight?
I think they can. Easton Wood was out for a bit of the season, so they've got him back. They'll be fine. The big fella that's just coming, he'll go straight to Petrie or Ben Brown, and it'll be an acid test for him, especially if he goes to Petrie. Petrie's massive. He's one of the best tall forwards in the competition, so he holds himself well there. It's happy days for him. He's probably cemented himself in the side for the rest of the season, and match committee Tuesday, whenever the Bulldogs have it, they've got some hard decisions to make, but they're the good hard decisions you want to make as a successful football club.
Yeah, my tip for the game as a Bulldogs fan is the Bulldogs by at least 10 goals, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I haven't tipped them that much. 8 goals would be a good result, I reckon. Libba is going to run things around the midfield, in under, handball and an out to your outside runners.
Yep.
So, Bulldogs by 8 for me.
Bulldogs by 8. We'll move on to Saturday's games. Melbourne versus St Kilda. It's not the prettiest on paper. I think it's a pretty interesting clash. It's the first time Christian Petrarca, the number 2 draft pick 18 months ago, will play, and there's a lot of excitement from Melbourne fans around him. I think he's a pretty exciting character, even though he's never played AFL football before. How do you see him going on the weekend, Kyle?
I think Melbourne supporters a bit... Melbourne supporters a bit stupid, I reckon, to hype up. Why would you hype up...
Tell it how it is, Kyle.
Why would you hype him up to say, he's going to be this, he's going to be that? Mate, Jack Watts has been in the AFL system for 8 years, and it's just taken him till now to come good. So if they want to throw another junior under the bus again like that and hype him up and set him up for a fall, well, good luck to him. It's just another club, Collingwood, and for your sake, Western Bulldogs have to worry about in the future.
Yes. So Melbourne are in quite good form lately. They're playing probably the most attacking football they've played in almost a decade. So it's been in a bit more, I suppose, in different form. But Melbourne haven't won 3 in a row for really a generation.
Yep.
And their form at Etihad has been not the best in recent years. They're the better side on paper, the better side on form, but is it as easy as it seems?
I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure I'd buy into the Etihad thing so much with Melbourne and St Kilda. If it was at the MCG, it'd be a definite advantage to Melbourne because all their supporters would be there. They're all MCC members and they don't do the double up with the membership, so there's no one going to be there for them. So I think, yeah, it's just a ground. Seriously, it's inside. It should be used to inside. So I'm not sure that's going to make any difference.
Okay, Kyle, again telling it how it is. Do you think the Saints can turn around their form? They came very close to beating Hawthorn down in Tasmania, which was a really impressive performance. Can they beat Melbourne tomorrow?
Yeah, of course they can beat Melbourne, and of course Melbourne can beat them too. As cliche as that sounds, they're both in it. But yeah, Melbourne, if they win 3 in a row, like they could be pushing top 8, and they should be pushing top 8. They've been on the bottom for far too long. They've got a top class coach. That's only going to be there for a couple more, months. He's leaving at the end of the year, so just get as much out of it as possible, and just continue on next season. I don't think they should be pushing too hard this year, but yeah, you never know. If they do win, they win. If they don't, they don't. I don't see any of these teams being contenders at the end of the year.
Yep. What's your prediction for the game?
I reckon St Kilda will win by 2 goals.
Saints by 2 goals. I reckon the D's by 4. We'll move on to the Giants vs Hawthorns that day at 4:35. Hawks have won the last 3 weeks, but they've won by 3 points in each game. They're probably lucky to get over Adelaide last week, I suggest, as well. Giants have been impressive in their last 2 games. They dispatched Port Adelaide 2 weeks ago. And Jeremy Cameron came back and he kicked 4 goals last week. How big of an inclusion is Jeremy Cameron to that bloodline?
Yeah, he's massive. So you got him and Patton down there. They're the two focal points for their attack. They're both very strong overhead, very good lead-up players. So even if they're not winning the mucking contest, they're spinning it out.
And of course they've got Rory Lott as well, who is 200 centimetres tall and playing as a key forward at the moment. They're not short on height down there.
No, they're not short on height down there. Their back's pretty strong too. They got Heath Shaw sort of marshalling all that.
Phil Davis as well.
Yeah, Phil Davis.
Excellent player.
Yeah. So Heath Shaw's in probably nearly career best form.
Wouldn't far off.
So it wouldn't be fast. So.
He seems to be relishing, I suppose, a leadership role at a young club, which I think is good because there was some off-field issues at Collingwood. So to see him, I suppose, turn it back around again is really pleasing, and I think he's been a real focal point for the side this year. It's the Giants' first game at Spotless Stadium in 2016. They had a real home ground advantage there last week. Do you think that has an impact?
I don't think it has an impact against Hawthorn. Too professional a unit to be worried about things like that, so no impact whatsoever.
Yeah, it's interesting having that gambling story earlier, but I think Hawthorn are only just favourites, or it's about even in the betting at this stage. Do you think the result will be that close, or do you think it'll blow out to the Hawks?
I think the Hawks, GWS need to stick in there for the whole game. They need to sort of hang on and try to kick away at the end. Hawthorn, it'd be an arm wrestle. Another cliche. Apologies, but they've just got to hold on and get close. They're not going to blow Hawthorn away. They've just got to win the little important battles, like small things, do all the small things right, and just pip them at the end. If they do win, they'll win by under a goal.
Yep.
Or Hawthorn will smash them.
I think the Hawks will be too good. I think they'll be able to find a way again. They're not playing great foot at the moment, but they're playing good enough football, and I think that's a sign of a really good football side. And last year they struggled early on to even just get those ones on the board. So I think it'll be really interesting. I think Hawthorn by a couple of goals. You, Kyle? What
Um,
prediction?
Yeah, Hawthorn will win by a couple of goals. Yeah.
Won by a couple of goals. Right. Thanks for listening. That's your extended sports report for this Friday, the 29th of April. I'm Toby Chapman. Alongside me is Kyle Humphries. He doesn't get to say his own name. I do. I run this show. Thanks for listening. That's
No
all.
worries. See you later.